was paying $3,200 a month just to survive.
My kids told me I had no other choice. But then, I discovered a place where I pay only $150.
Before I start this story, please hit that subscribe button, like this video, and turn on notifications. Leave a comment below if you've ever had to fight for what's yours. Your support goes a long way in helping me create this content. For 40 years, I worked at a small welfare agency in Springfield, Missouri. Every morning at 7:30, I'd unlock the office door, brew coffee, and spread out the case files on my desk. Elderly people living alone, young adults struggling with addiction, abused children. They were all my work, my life. People would tell me, "Helen, you're an angel." But I was just doing what needed to be done. The year I turned 72, I finally retired. My colleagues threw a small party, even prepared my favorite lemon cake. Everyone applauded and hugged me. Now it's Helen's time. Enjoy yourself. That night, I came home alone and looked in the mirror to see a stranger standing there. A face carved with deep wrinkles, silver hair, and eyes that seemed somehow empty. What do I do now? For the first time, I thought that. The first few weeks were okay. I woke up late, watched my favorite shows, grew tomatoes in the garden. But my knees felt wrong. Every time I climbed the stairs, something made a creaking sound, and the pain grew worse. At first, I ignored it. This is just what happens when you get old. But one morning, as I tried to get out of bed, a sharp pain shot through my lower back. I couldn't breathe. I collapsed on the floor and stayed there for a long time. I called my daughter Sarah. "Mom, you need to go to the hospital right now." Worry saturated her voice. But at the same time, there was a hint of irritation. Sarah was a working mom with 2 kids and a full-time job. I knew my problems would become another burden for her. The hospital waiting room was flooded with fluorescent light. The young mother next to me was soothing a crying baby, and the elderly man across from me wouldn't stop coughing. When my turn came and I entered the examination room, the doctor only looked at the computer screen and asked, "What seems to be the problem today?" My knees and back hurt. "I can't move." "Okay, let's take a look." "How long has this been going on?" "A few months. But it's gotten really bad this past week." They took X-rays. As I lay on the cold, hard examination table, I counted the stained ceiling tiles. 23. The technician didn't even look at me, just said, "Don't move. Hold your breath," as if I were part of the machinery. The results were worse than expected. The cartilage in my knees was almost completely worn down, and 2 lumbar discs were severely degenerated. The doctor said flatly, "You're going to need surgery. Both knees, and we should address the lumbar spine issue too." "Surgery? How much will it cost?" "That depends on your insurance. But we're talking about maybe $30,000–$40,000 before insurance kicks in." My mind went blank. My Medicare would only cover part of it, and the rest would be on me. My life savings would disappear in an instant. But I had no choice. I couldn't live like this. We scheduled the surgery. 3 weeks later, Monday morning at 6 a.m. Sarah would drive me. The night before, I sat alone at home and looked out the window. The street was quiet, only the street lights flickering dimly. Suddenly I felt afraid. What if I didn't wake up on the operating table? Or what if I woke up and wasn't myself anymore? For 40 years, I'd taken care of others, and now I was the one who needed care. On surgery day, I woke at 5 a.m. I showered and put on clean clothes. Looking in the mirror, I saw a pale face. Sarah arrived exactly at 5:30. Ready, Mom? I'm ready. The drive to the hospital was quiet. Sarah didn't even turn on the radio, and I said nothing. Sometimes when we stopped at traffic lights, she squeezed my hand. In those moments, it felt like I wasn't her mother, she was mine. Outside the operating room, a nurse took me away. "We'll take good care of you, Helen. Don't worry." But I couldn't help worrying. As the anesthesia started flowing, my eyelids grew heavy. The last thing I saw was the white light on the ceiling. Then darkness. When I woke, I was in the recovery room. My body felt like lead, and my throat was so dry I could barely stand it. "Water. I need water." "You did great, Mrs. Thompson. Surgery went well. Just rest now." I stayed in the hospital for several days. Nurses came in shifts to take my temperature and give me medication. At night, I couldn't sleep because of the moaning and machine sounds from the hallway. The hospital food was tasteless, the bed uncomfortable. But the hardest part was the loneliness. Sarah stopped by once a day for less than 30 minutes, and my son Michael lived in Seattle and only called to check in. On discharge day, the doctor said, "You're going to need help at home. Physical therapy, someone to assist with daily activities. Can your family help?" "They will." But I wasn't sure that was possible. Sarah was already overwhelmed with her own life, and Michael was far away. Sitting in a wheelchair and leaving the hospital lobby, the future ahead suddenly felt uncertain. In the car on the way home, looking out the window, I thought, am I becoming a burden now? For the first week after discharge, I tried to manage at home. A physical therapist came on Tuesdays and Thursdays, a nurse on Mondays and Wednesdays. But the rest of the time, I was alone. Just getting from the bed to the bathroom made me sweat. Every step with the walker sent a tingling pain up through my knees. I couldn't even think about showering, and meals were just frozen dinners microwaved and eaten. One evening, I was pouring water in the kitchen and dropped the cup. Shattered glass scattered across the floor. I couldn't kneel down to pick it up, so I just stood there and stared. Tears rolled down my face. I felt pathetic, so helpless. I called Sarah. "Mom, what's wrong? What happened?" Her voice was tired. "I broke a cup. I can't clean it up." I heard a sigh. "Mom, why don't you come stay with us? At least until you recover. You can't be there alone." At first, I wanted to refuse. I didn't want to be a burden to my daughter. But I had no choice. "Okay. Thank you, Sarah." 3 days later, I moved. Sarah's husband Brian rented a truck and loaded my things. 2 suitcases of clothes, my medications, the walker, and a few favorite photos. That was all I had from 40 years in that house. As I locked the front door, I looked back. The house where Robert and I raised our children. The pencil marks on the wall where we measured Michael's height were still there. The moment I closed the door, it felt like something had ended. Sarah's house was in a neat suburban neighborhood. The lawn was neatly trimmed, and a minivan and SUV stood side by side in the garage. As I entered the front door, my grandson Tyler and granddaughter Emma came running. "Grandma, you're here." The children's hugs were warm. But they hugged too hard and it hurt where I'd had surgery. Careful, Grandma still hurts. Sarah pulled the kids away. My room was the first-floor guest room. Small but clean, with a window overlooking the backyard. A bed, nightstand, small closet. Everything I needed was there, but nothing was mine. Sarah brought towels and said, "Bathroom is right across the hall. If you need anything at night, just call me, okay?" "Yes, thank you." After Sarah left, I sat alone on the bed. A strange room, strange house, strange bed. Outside the window, I could hear the children playing. Somewhere in the house, Brian turned on the TV to watch the news. I was just there. The first few days were okay. Sarah made me oatmeal every morning, and Emma would stop by my room after school to show me her drawings. "Look, Grandma, I drew you." In the picture, I had stick arms and legs and a big smile. It made me laugh. But as time passed, the atmosphere changed. Each morning Sarah looked more exhausted, and Brian wouldn't make eye contact with me. Dinner was the most awkward time. We all sat at the table together, but the conversation was mostly about the kids' school or Brian's work. I sat quietly and ate. One evening, coming out of the bathroom, I heard Sarah and Brian talking in the hallway. "Brian, I'm exhausted. I can't keep doing this." "I know, babe, but what choice do we have? She needs more care than I can give. I'm working full-time taking care of the kids. I can't be her nurse too. Maybe we should look into some kind of help. Like a home health aide? Do you know how much that costs? We're already stretched thin with the mortgage and the kids' activities." I stood there holding my breath. My heart was pounding. I was a burden. I knew it, but hearing it directly was different. It felt like my chest was caving in. That night I lay in bed staring at the ceiling. Tears flowed but I made no sound. In this house, I was invisible. In the morning, I didn't want to leave my room. Sarah knocked. "Mom? Are you okay? Do you need breakfast?" "I'm fine. I'm not hungry." "Mom, you need to eat. You have to take your medication too." I opened the door. Sarah's face showed both worry and exhaustion. I felt sorry. I thought I was ruining my daughter's life. Physical therapy continued. Tuesday and Thursday at 10 a.m. My therapist Marcus came. "All right, Helen, let's work on those knees. 10 reps, slow and steady." The exercises were painful but I endured them. Marcus was kind. "You're doing great. I can see improvement already." But what was improving was my body, not my situation. Weekends were harder. There would be Tyler's soccer game or Emma's ballet recital. The family got ready to go out, and I stayed in my room. "Mom, do you want to come?" Sarah asked, but even getting in and out of the car was difficult. "I'm fine. You guys go. Have fun." "Are you sure?" "Yes, I'm sure." When the family left, the house became quiet. Only the clock ticked. I went to the living room and sat on the sofa looking out the window. Neighbors walking, kids riding bikes, dogs running around. I was just a spectator watching through glass. One afternoon, Emma brought friends home. 3 girls laughing and chattering in the living room. I watched from my room through the crack in the door. One girl asked, "Who's that lady in the room?" "Oh, that's my grandma. She's staying with us." "Why?" "She had surgery. She can't live alone." "Oh, that's sad." It felt like my heart was tearing. Sad. My existence had become a sad thing. That night I talked to Sarah. I called to my daughter who was washing dishes in the kitchen. "Sarah, we need to talk." She turned around, drying her hands. "What is it, Mom? I know I'm making things hard for you. I'm sorry." "Mom, it's okay. We're family." "No, it's not okay. You know it, Brian knows it, and I know it. Me being here is a burden on you." Tears welled up in Sarah's eyes. "Mom, don't say that. I'm telling the truth. I don't want this either. I want to live in my own house, my own life. But right now I can't. So what do you want to do?" "I don't know, but there must be some way. I'll figure it out." Sarah took my hand. "Mom, I'm sorry. I should be doing better for you." "No, you're doing everything you can. The problem is that I need too much." That night I couldn't sleep until late. Lying in bed, I thought, a nursing home? But the cost was too high. Hire an aide? Same problem. With my pension and savings, I could only last a few months. Helplessness washed over me. I'd spent my whole life helping others, and when I needed help, there was nowhere to go. I heard Sarah and Brian talking in the hallway again. "We need to figure something out, Brian. This isn't sustainable." "I know. Maybe we should look at assisted living facilities? Have you seen the prices? It's like $5,000–6,000 a month. And that's for the basic ones." "What about her savings?" "She has some, but not enough for long-term care. And honestly, I was hoping to use some of that for the kids' college fund." My heart felt like it stopped. They wanted to use my savings for the grandkids' college? Of course I loved my grandchildren, but that was money I'd saved my whole life. Money for my future. Anger and sadness hit me at once. The next morning, I woke early and opened the newspaper. I looked for articles about seniors. And I found a small ad. Senior Community Center, free resources and support. A phone number was listed. I wrote the number on a notepad and put it in my wallet. Hope was beginning to show. For several days, I carried that phone number in my wallet. I took it out, put it back, took it out again. I knew I needed to make the call, but I couldn't find the courage. Asking for help meant admitting I couldn't solve this myself. I'd spent my whole life helping others, and now I was the one who needed help. Tuesday morning, when I was alone at home, I finally made the call. My hands were shaking. The phone rang 3 times, and a warm voice answered. "Springfield Senior Community Center, this is Patricia speaking. How can I help you?" "Hello. My name is Helen Thompson. I need help." "Of course, Helen. That's what we're here for. What kind of support are you looking for?" My throat tightened. "I had surgery, and I'm staying at my daughter's house now. But I can't stay here forever. I need to find a way to live on my own, but I don't know how." "I understand. That's a common situation, and we can definitely help. Why don't you come in for a consultation? We have resources about home care, housing options, financial assistance programs." "Would tomorrow at 2 p.m. work for you?" "Yes, that works. What's the address?" I wrote down the address and hung up. My heart was pounding. It was a mix of hope and fear. The next day, I asked Sarah, "Can you take me somewhere tomorrow afternoon?" "Where, Mom?" "Senior Community Center. I have a consultation appointment." Sarah's face brightened. "Oh, that's great. Of course I'll take you." "What time?" 2 o'clock. The center was in an old brick building downtown. Getting out of the parking lot and walking to the entrance, my legs felt shaky. I held onto my walker and moved slowly. The lobby was bright and warm. Photos of seniors' activities hung on the walls, and the scent of coffee wafted gently through the air. I gave my name at the front desk. Helen Thompson. I have an appointment with Patricia. Oh yes, Helen? Patricia will be right with you. Please have a seat. A few minutes later, a middle-aged woman came out. It was Patricia, with short gray hair and a warm smile. Helen? I'm Patricia. It's so nice to meet you. Come on back to my office. The office was small but cozy. Bookshelves were filled with documents and pamphlets, and a family photo sat on the desk. Patricia offered me a chair. So, tell me about your situation. Take your time. I told her everything. The surgery, recovery, living at my daughter's house, feeling like a burden, wanting to go back to my own home. I cried while talking but didn't try to stop. Patricia nodded and listened. Helen, what you're going through is very common. Many seniors face this exact situation. The good news is, there are options. Have you considered in-home care? What's that? It's when a trained caregiver comes to your home to help with daily activities. Things like bathing, dressing, meal preparation, medication management, light housekeeping. You can hire someone for a few hours a day or round the clock if needed. How much does it cost? Patricia opened a file. It varies, but typically it's about $30 to $35 per hour in this area. So if you need someone for 4 hours a day, that's around $120 to $140 daily, or about $3,600 to $4,200 per month. I did the math. My pension was $1,800 a month, and my Social Security was $1,200. Together, $3,000. Home care costs alone would eat it all up. What about food, medications, utilities? I don't think I can afford that. Patricia looked understanding. I know it's expensive. But let me show you some other options too. There are subsidized housing programs for seniors, and we can talk about those. For now, though, if you want to return to your own home, home care might be a starting point. Even part-time help could make a difference. She handed me several pamphlets. A list of home care agencies, cost comparison charts, financial assistance program guides. My head was spinning. Back home, I talked to Sarah. Mom, home care? That's really expensive. I know. But I need it if I'm going to go back home. At least I should try. How long can you last on your savings? A few months. Maybe 6? Sarah bit her lip. That's not sustainable, Mom. I know. But I don't have another choice right now. I'll go home first, and in the meantime, I'll look for another way. A week later, I contacted a home care agency. It was called Comfort Care Home Services. The woman who answered was efficient and businesslike. We can send someone starting next Monday. 4 hours a day, morning shift. That'll be $140 per day, billed weekly. Does that work? Yes, that works. Great. We'll send Maria. She's very experienced. Someone will call you Sunday to confirm the schedule. Monday morning, Maria arrived. A Hispanic woman who looked to be in her early 50s. She had a kind smile and a gentle voice. Hi, Helen. I'm Maria. I'm here to help you with whatever you need. The first few days were good. Maria helped me shower, prepared breakfast, organized my medications. She did laundry and light cleaning too. I enjoyed talking with her. She was an immigrant from Mexico, raising 3 children and working in 2 households. You remind me of my mother back in Guadalajara. She's getting older too. I worry about her. It must be hard being so far from your children. Yes, but I send money every month. It's why I work so hard. Listening to Maria's story, I realized how lucky I was. At least my children were nearby. But 3 weeks later, Maria called. Helen, I'm so sorry. My daughter is sick and I need to take her to the doctor. I can't come today. That's okay, Maria. Family comes first. 1 day became 2, then a week. The agency sent a replacement. A woman named Brenda, who was cold and curt. She did the work but said nothing. Like a robot. Brenda, what should I make for lunch? Whatever you want. I don't care. How about a sandwich? Fine. She mechanically made a sandwich and dropped it on the plate. There was no conversation. After 4 hours, she grabbed her bag and left. See you tomorrow. But she didn't come the next day. I called the agency. I'm sorry, Mrs. Thompson. Brenda called in sick. We're trying to find someone else, but it might take a day or 2. 2 days passed and no one came. I had to manage alone. I gave up on showering and ate simple cereal for meals. I managed my medications myself, but one day I forgot. A week later, a new caregiver arrived. A young woman named Jennifer. She looked to be in her early 20s and was late on her first day. Sorry I'm late. Traffic was crazy. That's okay. Come in. Jennifer did the work but kept looking at her phone. Texting, checking social media, making phone calls. Jennifer, can you help with the dishes? Oh, yeah, sure. Just give me a sec. But 10 minutes later, she was still looking at her phone. It was frustrating. I was paying $35 an hour, and half of it was her staring at her phone. 2 weeks later, Jennifer disappeared too. The agency could only apologize. We're experiencing high turnover right now. It's hard to keep staff. We'll send someone as soon as possible. I sat alone and checked my bank account. In 2 months, my savings had dropped by $8,000. At this rate, I wouldn't last 6 months. Plus the caregivers kept changing, and sometimes no one came at all. I was anxious. What if I fell again? What if I took the wrong medication? What if there was an emergency and no one was there? One night, on my way to the bathroom, I almost tripped on the living room rug. I gripped the walker tight and barely caught myself, but my heart was pounding. I sank to the floor and stayed there for a long time. Tears flowed. I can't live like this. Something has to change. The next morning, I called Patricia again. Patricia, it's me, Helen. Home care isn't going to work. It's too expensive, and the caregivers keep changing. Is there another way? Helen, I'm glad you called. Actually, yes. There are other options we should discuss. Can you come in again? Let's talk about assisted living facilities and subsidized senior housing. When is good? How about tomorrow at 10 a.m.? That works. I'll see you then. I hung up and looked out the window. Tree leaves were swaying in the wind. Change was scary, but I knew this couldn't continue. I had to try something new. I had to reclaim my future, my dignity, my life. The next morning, I went back to Patricia's office. This time I was alone. I felt bad asking Sarah, so I called a taxi. The driver was quiet, and I just stared out the window. Passing streets, familiar shops, children playing in the park. Everything looked ordinary, but my life wasn't ordinary. Patricia handed me a thick folder. Helen, today I want to talk about two main options. First, assisted living facilities. Second, subsidized senior housing. Let's start with assisted living. I opened the folder. It contained pamphlets from several facilities. The elderly people in the photos were smiling, and the buildings looked as clean as hotels. Meadowbrook Senior Living, Sunrise Assisted Living, Golden Years Community. The names sounded hopeful. Assisted living is for seniors who need some help with daily activities but don't require full nursing care. They provide meals, housekeeping, medication management, social activities, and 24-hour staff. That sounds good. What about cost? Patricia hesitated for a moment, then handed me a paper. This is the average cost in our area. The basic assisted living runs about $4,500 to $5,500 per month. The nicer facilities can be $6,000 to $8,000 or more. I looked at the numbers. $4,500. Twice my monthly income. My head spun. Even combining my pension and Social Security, I only have $3,000. How can I afford this? Many people use their savings to cover the gap. Others sell their homes. Some get help from family members. Sell my home. The house where I'd lived for 40 years, full of memories with Robert. My chest felt tight. Can I visit one? I want to see what it's actually like. Of course. I can arrange tours. There's a very nice place called Meadowbrook, about 15 minutes from here. Would you like me to set something up? Yes, please do that. 2 days later, I visited Meadowbrook with Sarah. The entrance was impressive. Large glass doors, neat landscaping, a fountain. It looked like a luxury hotel. Inside the lobby, a chandelier sparkled and piano music played. Tour guide Nancy greeted us. A woman in her 40s, impeccably dressed with a bright smile. Welcome to Meadowbrook. I'm so excited to show you around. We pride ourselves on providing the highest quality care in a beautiful, home-like environment. First we saw the dining room. A spacious area with white tablecloths on the tables. Paintings hung on the walls, and through the windows you could see a garden. We serve 3 gourmet meals daily, plus snacks. Our chef trained at culinary school and creates menus that are both nutritious and delicious. I looked at the menu. Grilled salmon, chicken marsala, vegetable lasagna. Nothing like hospital food. Next was the activity room. Elderly people were playing card games, and in one corner a yoga class was in progress. We offer a full calendar of activities. Yoga, art classes, book clubs, movie nights, live entertainment. There's always something to do. Everything looked perfect. But something felt off. A feeling I couldn't explain. Now let me show you one of our studio apartments. The room was small but clean. A bed, small desk, bathroom, closet. There was a window but it was small, and not enough light came through. The walls were white, with no personality. Residents can bring their own furniture and decorations to personalize the space. This is just our model unit. Sarah asked, "What's the monthly cost for this size?" This studio is $5,200 per month. That includes all meals, housekeeping, laundry service, and activities. Medical care and medications are extra. $5,200. I needed $2,200 more than my monthly income. Every month. Continuously. The tour continued. A library, beauty salon, even a small theater. Nancy talked constantly. Our staff-to-resident ratio is excellent. We have nurses on duty 247. We also have a physical therapy room and can arrange transportation to medical appointments. But my eyes were watching the people. Elderly people passing in the hallways, sitting in the lounge. Their faces bothered me. Some were smiling, but most were empty. Eyes staring into space, expressionless faces, sagging shoulders. In the lounge, I saw a woman. She sat in a wheelchair looking out the window. Her hands rested motionless on her lap, her lips pressed tightly together. How long had she been sitting like that? No one spoke to her. Another man sat on a hallway bench holding a cane. His eyes followed people passing by, but no one stopped. Staff members smiled brightly as they passed, and other residents didn't look at him. In the dining room, it was lunchtime. 4 or 5 people sat at each table, but there was almost no conversation. The sound of forks hitting plates, chewing sounds, that was all. At one table, 2 women ate quietly without even looking at each other. Is this living? I thought. It might be safe and clean and comfortable, but was it really being alive? Nancy kept talking. We also have memory care units for residents with dementia or Alzheimer's. Those are in a separate, secure wing. Can I see it? Of course, though it can be emotional for some visitors. To enter the memory care unit, you had to input a code. When the door opened, a different world appeared. The hallway was narrower, the lighting dimmer. Nurses moved busily, and somewhere someone was shouting, "Help me! Someone help me!" A staff member rushed over and said gently, "It's okay, Mr. Peterson. You're safe. Let's get you back to your room." About 10 elderly people sat in the lounge. The TV was on but no one was watching. One woman held a doll, and one man kept repeating the same words. "I need to go home. I need to go home." My chest tightened. I thought this could be the future. Would I be like that someday? Forgetting my name, forgetting my family, forgetting who I am? Nancy said, "Memory care is an additional $2,000 per month on top of the basic rate. But it provides specialized care for those who need it. $7,200 per month. An unimaginable amount." The tour ended and we returned to Nancy's office. She pulled out papers and said, "So, what do you think? Would you like to put down a deposit? We currently have a wait list, but I can prioritize your application. Give me some time to think about it." "Of course. Take all the time you need. Just know that spots fill up quickly." On the way back to the car, Sarah and I said nothing. Only after leaving the parking lot did Sarah speak. "Mom, what did you think?" Honestly, I was scared. The building was beautiful and the staff was kind, but those people there, did you see them? Did you see their eyes? I know. It was sad. It's not just sad. They weren't living, they were waiting. I don't know what they were waiting for, but death. We didn't say it, but we both knew. That was the answer. I came home and sat on the sofa. I opened the pamphlets again. The elderly people in the photos were smiling, but the elderly people I saw weren't smiling. Advertising and reality were different. $5,200 per month. With my savings, I couldn't last even a year. And after that? Should I sell my house? Give up a lifetime of memories, the place I belonged? That night I couldn't sleep. Lying in bed, I thought. I didn't want to become like those people in the nursing home. A life that was safe and cared for, but spent day after day with empty eyes. That wasn't what I wanted. I looked at Robert's photo hanging on the wall. A picture we took on our 50th wedding anniversary. His smile, his hand holding mine. What would he say if he were alive? Helen, you're a strong person. You'll find a way. I felt like I could hear his voice. The next morning, I called Patricia. Patricia, the nursing home isn't for me. The cost and it just doesn't fit. You mentioned other options, right? Subsidized senior housing? I want to know more about that. Absolutely, Helen. That might be a much better fit for you. Can you come in this week? I'll explain everything about Section 202 housing and other programs. Anytime is good. How about Thursday at 11? Perfect. I'll see you then. I hung up and looked out the window. The sun was rising. A new day, new possibilities. There was still hope. Hope that I could find the life I wanted, living life my way. Thursday morning, I woke early and chose my clothes. A blue blouse and black pants. I looked in the mirror and combed my hair. My white hair sparkled in the sunlight. Today there will be good news. I told myself. When I arrived at Patricia's office, she was already prepared. New documents were neatly arranged on her desk. Helen, good to see you. I'm glad you called back. I think subsidized senior housing might be exactly what you need. What exactly is that? Patricia pulled up a chair and began to explain. Subsidized senior housing is government-supported housing specifically for low-income seniors. The most common program is called Section 202. It's funded by HUD, the Department of Housing and Urban Development. How does it work? Basically, the government provides funding to build and maintain apartment buildings for seniors. Your rent is based on your income, typically 30% of your monthly income. So instead of paying market rate, you pay what you can actually afford. The number 30% caught my attention. If my income is $3,000 a month, 30% would be $900? Exactly. And these apartments aren't just cheap housing. They're designed specifically for seniors. They have features like grab bars in bathrooms, emergency call systems, wheelchair accessibility, elevators. Many also have common areas where residents can socialize. It sounds too good to be true. I was skeptical. I'd learned my whole life that nothing is free. It's real, but there are some challenges. First, there's usually a long wait list. We're talking months, sometimes years. Second, you have to qualify based on income limits. And third, the apartments are smaller and more basic than private assisted living. Waitlist for years? It depends on the facility. Some are 6 months, others 2 years. But here's the thing: the sooner you apply, the sooner you get on the list. And while you're waiting, you keep looking for other solutions. Hope and frustration hit me at the same time. There was a solution, but not immediately. Are there places like this in Springfield? Patricia unfolded a map. Yes, we have 3 Section 202 properties in the area. Let me tell you about them. The first was Sunset Towers. A 7-story building 10 minutes from downtown. This one has 80 units. It's close to the hospital, library, and grocery stores. Very convenient location. The wait list is currently about 18 months. The second was Riverside Gardens. This is newer, built about 5 years ago. It's near the river, has beautiful views. 60 units, but the wait list is longer, about 2 years, because it's so popular. The third was Oakwood Senior Community. This one is a bit farther out, maybe 20 minutes from downtown. It's quieter, more residential. 50 units, and the wait list is the shortest, about 10 to 12 months. Can I visit them? Absolutely. I can call ahead and arrange tours. Which ones interest you? I want to see them all. Patricia smiled. Good. I like that you're being thorough. Let me make some calls. 2 days later, on Monday afternoon, I visited Oakwood Senior Community. Sarah drove me. The building was in a small residential neighborhood. A 3-story red brick building, not as fancy as Meadowbrook, but clean and neat. Manager Linda greeted us. A woman in her 60s with a warm, straightforward manner. Welcome, Helen. I'm Linda. I've been managing Oakwood for 12 years now. Let me show you around. The lobby was simple. No chandelier, but comfortable sofas and coffee tables. Quilts and paintings made by residents hung on the walls. We keep it simple here. No fancy chandeliers, but we focus on community. This is where residents gather to chat, play games, or just read the paper. Several elderly people were actually sitting on sofas talking. They were laughing. Real laughter, different from what I saw at Meadowbrook. One man waved. Hey, Linda. Who's your friend? This is Helen. She's interested in moving in. Helen, this is George. He's been here for 5 years. George stood and approached. He was using a cane, but his eyes were full of life. 5 wonderful years. Best decision I ever made. You'll love it here. Really? What's good about it? The people. The freedom. I got my own place, but I'm not alone. There's always someone to talk to, something to do. And the rent, I can actually afford it on my Social Security. Linda smiled and said, George is our unofficial welcome committee. Come on, let me show you an apartment. We took the elevator to the 2nd floor. The hallway was wide and bright. Lots of windows let in natural light. Each door had a number, and some had small decorations hanging on them. This is Unit 207. It's currently vacant, so you can see what they look like. I entered the room. Smaller than Meadowbrook, but not bad. The living room and bedroom were separate, and there was a small kitchen. Safety bars were installed in the bathroom, and I could see an emergency call button. All units have a kitchenette. Some residents prefer to cook their own meals. There's also a community kitchen downstairs if you want to make something bigger. Are meals provided? No, that's the main difference from assisted living. You're responsible for your own meals. But we have a van that takes residents to the grocery store twice a week. And there's a food pantry program if you need extra help. I looked out the window. I could see a small garden, and residents were walking around. One woman sat on a bench reading a book. Can I bring my own furniture? Absolutely. Most residents do. This becomes your home, Helen. You decorate it however you want. My heart raced. My home. My space. My way. What about rent? Linda pulled out documents. Your rent is calculated at 30% of your adjusted gross income. Based on what Patricia told me, your income is about $3,000 per month. So your rent would be around $900, which covers utilities, water, electricity, heat. You'd pay for your own phone and cable if you want those. $900. An amount I could manage. With the remaining money, I could afford food, medicine, and even have a little left over. But I heard there's a wait list. Yes, currently it's about 10 to 12 months. I won't lie to you, it's a wait. But I encourage you to apply. Things can move faster than expected. Sometimes people change their minds or find other options. The next space was the community room. A large room with tables and chairs, and a small library in one corner. Several women were making quilts. This is where we have activities. There's no paid activity director like fancy facilities, but residents organize their own things. Quilting club, book club, Bible study, poker night. One woman looked up. You should join our book club. We're reading mysteries right now. Just finished Agatha Christie. I love Agatha Christie. Then you'll fit right in. I'm Margaret, by the way. Margaret looked to be in her late 70s and had a vibrant smile. I've been here 3 years. Moved in after my husband passed. Best thing I ever did. I was lonely in that big old house. Here, I got friends. Friends. That word resonated with me. In the basement were a laundry room and community kitchen. Simple but clean. One man was folding laundry, and another woman was taking something out of the oven. We also have a community garden out back. Residents can have their own plots if they want. Some people grow tomatoes, others flowers. We went out to the garden. It was divided into small sections, each with a name tag. George's tomatoes, Mary's herbs, Bill's sunflowers. It was lovely. An elderly man was kneeling, touching the soil. His hands were dirty with earth, but his face looked peaceful. That's Bill. He's 85 and still gardens every day. Says it keeps him young. The tour ended and we returned to Linda's office. So, what do you think, Helen? Honestly, I really like it. It feels much more alive than Meadowbrook. Linda nodded. That's what people tell me. We're not fancy, but we're real. People here look out for each other. When someone is sick, neighbors bring soup. When someone has a birthday, we throw a party in the community room. What do I need to apply? You'll need to fill out an application, provide proof of income, pension statements, social security statements. We'll also need a background check and references. The whole process takes about 2 weeks to get approved, then you go on the wait list. I received the documents. It was a long form, but I wasn't scared. I felt like I could do it. Going back to the car, I told Sarah, this is it. This is what I want. Really, Mom? Are you sure? Yes. Meadowbrook was too cold and impersonal, but Oakwood felt like a real community. A place where people know each other, care about each other, live together. But you have to wait a year. I know, but it's worth waiting for. And while I wait, I'll stay at your house or manage at my house as long as I can. I came home and spread out the application. Name, address, date of birth, income, assets. I answered every question honestly. I copied my pension statements and prepared my social security documents. I called my doctor and requested a health certificate too. A week later, I returned to Oakwood with all the documents. Linda reviewed them. Everything looks good, Helen. I'll submit this to HUD for approval. You should hear back in about 2 weeks. Then we'll officially put you on the wait list. Thank you, Linda. Thank you so much. Don't thank me yet. The wait is the hard part. But I have a good feeling about you. You're going to do great here. I came home and marked the date on the calendar. The countdown started today. Approval in 2 weeks, then a 10 to 12-month wait. It felt long, but I had a goal. I could see the end. That night, looking at Robert's photo, I said, "We did it, Robert. We found a way. It'll take a while, but I'll wait. We found our own little place, a place where we can live our way." I looked out the window. Stars were twinkling. For the first time in a long time, I wasn't afraid of the future. It would be hard, but it was possible. I wasn't going to give up. 2 weeks passed, and I found an HUD envelope in the mailbox. My hands were shaking. I stood there for a long time before opening it. My future was inside this envelope. I opened it slowly. I unfolded the letter and read the first line. "Dear Ms. Thompson, we are pleased to inform you that your application for Section 202 housing at Oakwood Senior Community has been approved." It felt like my breath stopped. Approved. It was really approved. I held the letter to my chest and cried. Tears of joy. The letter continued. "You have been placed on the wait list as of today. Current estimated wait time is 10 to 12 months. You will be contacted when a unit becomes available. 10 months to a year. Long, but I could see the end." I took out the calendar and counted the dates. Around this time next year, I'd have my own place. My space, my community, my life. I called Sarah. "Sarah, I got approved." "Oh Mom, that's wonderful. Congratulations." There was genuine joy in her voice. But at the same time, some other emotion was mixed in. Relief? Probably. I understood. When I left, her life would be easier too. "When are you moving?" "Not for a while. I'm on the wait list, and I have to wait about 10 months to a year." Oh, a brief silence. "So you'll stay at our house until then?" "No, I want to go back to my house. I think I can manage without home care. If I'm careful and go slowly." "Mom, that's dangerous. What if you fall alone?" "I'll get a life alert device. If I fall, I just press the button. I'll be okay, Sarah. I'll be cautious too." I heard a sigh. "Okay, Mom, if that's what you want. But please be careful." "I will. I promise." The next day, I returned to my house. Sarah and Brian moved my things. There wasn't much. 2 suitcases of clothes, medications, the walker. I opened the front door and went in. There was a familiar smell. The smell of home. My smell. I looked around the living room. Dust had accumulated, and mail was piled up by the door. But my sofa, my lamp, my photos were all still there. Wedding photos with Robert, the kids' graduation photos, the grandchildren's first birthday photos. "I'm home. I'm back." Sarah asked worriedly, "Sure you'll be okay, Mom?" "Yes, I'm sure." They left and I was alone. It was quiet. But I wasn't lonely. This was my quiet. The next few days I organized slowly. I dusted, arranged clothes, filled the refrigerator with groceries. Sarah agreed to stop by twice a week to help with shopping. I continued physical therapy too, and my movement gradually improved. One afternoon, I heard a knock on the front door. It was my son Michael. He said he'd flown in from Seattle. "Michael, what's going on? Why didn't you tell me?" "Wanted to surprise you, Mom." "Can I come in?" I hugged him. My tall, sturdy son. But his face looked tense. We sat in the living room. Michael drank coffee and looked around. "Place looks good. You're managing okay?" Yes, I'm doing fine. Sarah told me about the subsidized housing. That you got approved. Yes. It's a really nice place. There's a community, the people are kind. Mom, we need to talk about your finances. My heart sank. His tone was serious. What about? Michael pulled a folder from his briefcase. I've been looking at your accounts. Your savings, the value of this house, your monthly expenses. Sarah and I are concerned. Why were you looking at my accounts? Because we care about you. Mom, you have about $45,000 in savings. This house is worth maybe $180,000. That's a total of $225,000 in assets. I know. So what? That money could be used better. If you move into that subsidized housing, you're essentially giving up your assets for a cheaper apartment. But what about us? What about your grandchildren? I couldn't believe it. What? Emma is going to college in 5 years. Tyler in 7. College costs are insane now. We're talking $30,000, $40,000 a year. If you sold this house and gave us part of the proceeds, we could set up college funds for them. My blood felt like it was flowing backward. You want me to pay for the grandkids' college with my money? It's not just about the kids. Think about your own care. What if you need nursing care later? What if you get dementia? That $45,000 won't last long. But if you structured your assets properly now, you could qualify for Medicaid down the road. I don't need Medicaid. I'm going to Oakwood. Michael sighed. Mom, be realistic. You're 72. In 10 years, you'll be 82. What if you can't live independently anymore? Subsidized housing doesn't provide medical care. When that time comes, I'll think about it then. That's not a plan. That's denial. I was angry. Really angry. Michael, this is my money. I worked for 40 years to save it. It's my house, my savings. Not yours. We're not saying it's ours. We're saying you should think about the family. About your legacy. My legacy is spending it while I'm alive. To live where I want, the way I want. Michael's face turned red. So you're going to be selfish? You're going to waste your money on some cheap apartment when you could help your grandchildren? Get out. Get out right now. Mom, I said get out. Michael stood up. He gathered his papers and put them in his bag. I'm trying to help you. Sarah and I both are. But you're too stubborn to see it. It's not help. You're coveting my money. He walked toward the door without a word. Before opening it and leaving, he turned around. When you change your mind, call me. But don't wait too long. Time isn't on your side. The door slammed shut. Left alone, I sank into the chair. My whole body was shaking. Anger, hurt, betrayal. My son was after my money. The grandkids' tuition was more important than my future. The phone rang. It was Sarah. Mom, Michael called me. He's really upset. He's upset? What about me? He was just trying to help. Help? Telling me to give my savings to the grandchildren is help? Sarah was quiet for a moment. Mom, it's not unreasonable. We're your family. That money. Eventually it'll come to us anyway when you know, when I die. I didn't mean it like that. That's exactly how it sounded. Are you both just waiting for me to die? So you can have my money? That's not fair, Mom. What's not fair? That I want to live where I want with the money I saved all my life? Is it fair that my children are after my assets? We're not, Sarah's voice cracked. We're worried about you, about your future, About what happens when that $45,000 runs out. That's my concern. My money, my choice, my consequences. Fine. Do whatever you want. But don't come crying to us when you run out of money. The phone was hung up. I looked out the window. The sun was setting. Red sky, long shadows. It was beautiful, but my heart was heavy. I looked at the family photos on the wall. Sarah's wedding photo, Michael's college graduation photo. How proud I had been. But now everything looked different. They weren't seeing me as their mother, but as a bank account. I couldn't sleep that night. I lay in bed staring at the ceiling. Michael's words kept echoing. Selfish. Was I being selfish? Wanting to live the life I wanted with my money? No, it wasn't selfish. This was survival. It was dignity. I had worked for 40 years, lost my husband, raised my children. Now it was time for me. The next morning, I called a lawyer. A lawyer I'd known for a long time named John Peterson. John, I want to revise my will. Of course, Helen. What changes do you want to make? I have my house and my savings. When I die, I want half to go to my children, and half to be donated to Oakwood Senior Community. So other seniors can live there. That's very generous. Are you sure about this? I'm sure. Very. Okay. I'll draft the new will. Can you come in next week to sign? I want to do it as soon as possible. While the documents were being prepared, I wrote a letter to Sarah and Michael. By hand, slowly, carefully. Dear Sarah and Michael, I'm proud that you're my children. But the things you said recently hurt me deeply. My money is mine. I earned it, and I'll decide what to do with it. Moving to Oakwood is my choice. I'll be happy there. There will be a community, friends, and purpose. That's more important than any nursing home. When I die, you'll receive half of the inheritance. The other half will be donated so other seniors can have the opportunity I received. If you think this isn't fair, I'm sorry. But this is the right thing to do. With love, Mom. I put the letter in an envelope and attached a stamp. The moment I dropped it in the mailbox, I felt a weight lift. I was certain I'd done the right thing. A few days later, Sarah called. Her voice was cold and hard. Got your letter? Yes. So that's it? You're cutting us out? Half is still yours. But the rest will be used for a greater purpose. This is a mistake, Mom. It's my mistake. I'll live with it. Fine. Don't expect us to be there when you need help. I don't expect it. The phone was hung up. I sat alone. It was quiet but peaceful. My relationship with my family was broken, but my self-respect was intact. My choice, my life, my future. No one could take that away. I looked at the calendar. 10 months left to wait. Long, but worth waiting for. I'd start a new life at Oakwood. A real community, real friends, real purpose. That was more important than any inheritance. 10 months passed. Slowly, sometimes painfully, but surely. Every morning I woke up and crossed off the date on the calendar. One by one, steadily. It was a countdown to Oakwood. During that time, I lived alone. Sarah and Michael didn't contact me, and I didn't reach out first either. The wound was still fresh. But I wasn't lonely. My neighbor Mrs. Chan would stop by occasionally for tea and conversation, and church friends picked me up every Sunday. I continued physical therapy. My knees improved, and I could walk short distances without the walker. Slow and careful, but I could do it myself. Small victories accumulated. I started cooking again too. Simple things. Scrambled eggs, grilled cheese sandwiches, tomato soup. But what mattered was that I was eating food I made myself. My choice, my pace, my way. One morning, I went out to check the mailbox. It was warm May, and roses were beginning to bloom. Among the mail was an envelope with the Oakwood logo. My hands trembled. I rushed into the house. No, I walked quickly inside. I sat on the sofa and opened the envelope. Dear Ms. Thompson, we are pleased to inform you that a one-bedroom unit has become available at Oakwood Senior Community. Unit 304 is ready for occupancy on June 1st. Please contact us within 5 business days to confirm your acceptance. Congratulations, and welcome home. Tears poured out. Joy, relief, gratitude. All emotions hit me at once. I held the letter to my chest and cried for a long time. Finally I was getting my own home. With shaking hands, I made the call. Linda answered. Helen, I was hoping you'd call. Did you get our letter? I got it, Linda. I can't believe it. Linda laughed. Believe it, honey. You're coming home. Can you come in tomorrow to sign the lease and see your apartment? Tomorrow? Of course. Any time is fine. How about 10 a.m.? Perfect. See you there. I hung up and wanted to jump around, but thought of my knees and held back. Instead, I walked slowly around the living room and burst into laughter. I laughed alone, danced, rejoiced. I called Mrs. Chen. I called church friends too. I also called Patricia to thank her. Without you, I never would have found this. You found it yourself, Helen. You did the work. I'm just so happy for you. That night I couldn't sleep. Not from anxiety, but from excitement. I lay in bed staring at the ceiling and imagined. My new home, my new neighbors, my new life. Everything would start soon. The next morning, I wore my best clothes. A purple dress and pearl necklace. Robert had bought it for our 20th anniversary. Looking in the mirror, I saw a different person. Still an elderly woman, but her eyes were different. There was hope. I called a taxi. The driver was kind and noticed my excitement. Big day? The biggest. I'm moving to a new home. Congratulations. That's wonderful. When I arrived at Oakwood, Linda was waiting at the entrance. She hugged me. Welcome home, Helen. Thank you. Thank you so much. We went to the office and I filled out documents. Lease agreement, emergency contact form, community rules. I carefully read everything and signed. When I made the final signature, Linda handed me keys. These are yours. Unit 304. I held the keys in my hand. Cold, hard metal. But to me, they were more precious than gold. These were keys to freedom, keys to independence, keys to dignity. I took the elevator to the 3rd floor. Walking down the hallway, I checked the numbers. 301, 302, 303. And 304. My door. I inserted the key and turned it. The door opened. I entered the room. It was empty, but clean and bright. Sunlight poured through large windows, and I could see trees. The living room was cozy, the small kitchen was perfect. The bedroom was enough for my bed and wardrobe. I went to the bathroom. Safety bars, non-slip mat, emergency call button. Everything I needed, but most importantly, it was mine. I stood by the window. Below, I could see the garden, and George was tending his tomato patch. Margaret sat on a bench reading a book. I could see the community. The place I would belong. Home, I whispered. I'm home. Linda smiled from the doorway. What do you think? Perfect. It's absolutely perfect. Move-in date is June 1st. That's 2 weeks from now. Will that give you enough time? That's enough. I don't have much to bring. If you need help moving, let me know. Some of our residents have trucks and they're always happy to help. The next 2 weeks passed busily. I organized the house and packed. I decided what to bring and what to leave. I donated most of the furniture. It was too big or unnecessary. But I kept special things. Robert's armchair. The chair where he sat every evening reading the newspaper. It was old but I couldn't throw it away. Our wedding photo. 50 years ago, young and happy us. Pictures of the kids when they were little. I still loved them. I was hurt, but love remained. My favorite cookbook. Stained and worn pages, every recipe held a memory. A small quilt. Made by my mother, the only remaining work of hers. Mrs. Chen and church friends helped. They carried boxes, cleaned, encouraged. You're doing the right thing, Helen. This is your time. The night before moving, I stood alone in the empty house. Walls, floors, ceilings filled with 40 years of memories. Mornings shared with Robert, Christmases with the kids, grandchildren's laughter. Everything was here. Goodbye, old friend, I said to the house. Thank you. But now it's a new beginning. On the morning of June 1st, it was clear and sunny. A neighbor resident named George brought a truck. Heard you needed help moving. I'm your guy. Thank you so much, George. No problem. That's what neighbors do. We loaded the boxes. Not many. About 10. My life in 10 boxes. But it was okay. What mattered wasn't the things but the meaning. When we arrived at Oakwood, several residents were waiting. Margaret, Bill, George, and a few more. Everyone smiled and waved. Welcome, Helen. We're so excited you're here. Need help unpacking? Tears came. This time not tears of sadness but tears of joy. These people didn't know me, but they welcomed me. Because I was family. Because I was part of the community. Together we carried boxes. Men took the heavy ones, women the light ones. We worked laughing and joking. In an hour, everything was inside. Margaret brought coffee and cookies. Made them this morning. Welcome gift. Everyone sat in my new living room drinking coffee. We talked, laughed, got to know each other. This is community, I thought. This is family. After the sun set and everyone left, I sat alone. The boxes were still unpacked, but that was okay. There was plenty of time. I looked out the window. Lights came on in the garden, and someone was walking. It was peaceful. I took out Robert's photo and placed it on the nightstand. We did it, honey. We found a home. It's a new beginning. I lay in bed. New bed, new room, new home. But it was mine. My space that no one could take away. I closed my eyes. Peace washed over me. For the first time in a long time, I wasn't afraid of the future. Here I was safe, welcomed, home. Thank you, I whispered to someone I don't know who. To God, to the universe, to myself. Thank you. And I fell into deep sleep. Peaceful and happy sleep. The first morning I woke to birds chirping. I opened the window and cool air came in. The smell of trees, grass, fresh morning air. I took a deep breath. It was the smell of freedom. I brewed coffee. In my kitchen, with my coffee pot, at my pace. Small things, but they meant a lot. No one was rushing me, no one felt I was in the way. Around 9, I heard a knock. It was Margaret. Morning, Helen. Just wanted to check if you need anything. Also, we're having coffee in the community room at 10. You should come. Really? I'd love to. Great. See you there. At 10, I went down to the community room. 6 residents sat around a table. The smell of coffee filled the room. Margaret introduced me. Everyone, this is Helen. She just moved into 304 yesterday. Everyone waved and smiled. I'm Dorothy. I'm in 201. Welcome. I'm Frank. 305, right next to you. If you need sugar or anything, just knock. I'm Betty. 208. I run the quilting club on Thursdays. I memorized names one by one. Dorothy, Frank, Betty, George the First already knew him, Margaret, and a quiet man named Walter. We drank coffee and talked. They asked where I came from, why I came to Oakwood. I told my story too. Surgery, my daughter's house, home care, and here. Everyone nodded and listened. I know exactly what you mean, Dorothy said. I lived with my son for 6 months. Love him to death, but it wasn't working. Here, I got my independence back. Same here, Frank added. Was in one of those fancy assisted living places. Cost a fortune and felt like a hotel. This is a real home. Time passed quickly. Talking, laughing, getting to know each other. When noon came, everyone stood up. Lunchtime. We usually go to our own places, but sometimes we cook together in the community kitchen. You should join us sometime. I definitely will. In the afternoon, I unpacked. I put clothes in the closet, books on shelves, found places for photos. I placed Robert's armchair by the window. It was a spot he would have liked. In the evening, there was another knock. This time it was Frank. Hey Helen, few of us are ordering pizza. Want to chip in? $5 a person. Pizza? Really? Yeah, we do it every Friday. Nothing fancy, just pepperoni and cheese. But it's nice to eat together. Of course. I'll join. At 6, I went to the community room. 3 pizza boxes sat on the table, and about 10 people had gathered. We put pizza on paper plates and ate together. Conversation flowed naturally. George talked about the garden, Betty explained a new quilting project. Walter didn't say much, but occasionally smiled quietly. Helen, you should see our community garden, George said. I can set you up with a plot if you're interested. I love gardening. I used to grow tomatoes. Perfect. I'll show you around tomorrow. When I returned home, my heart felt light. A slice of pizza, simple conversation, laughter. That was all, but it was enough. The next week passed quickly. I attended the morning coffee gathering every day and got to know people better. Dorothy was a former teacher, Frank had worked at the post office. Betty was a nurse, Walter was an architect. Everyone had their own story, their own past, their own dreams. Thursday, I attended Betty's quilting club. 5 women sat around a large table sewing. Helen. Glad you came. Ever quilted before? A long time ago. My mother taught me. Good. We're working on a community quilt. Everyone contributes a square. Want to make one? I looked at the fabric pieces. Various colors, various patterns. What should I make? Anything you want. Something that represents you. I went home and thought. What represents me? After thinking for a while, it came to me. A house. A small house shape. Because I had finally found my home. For several days I cut fabric and sewed. Blue roof, white walls, red door. Yellow curtains in small windows. Simple but mine. The next Thursday, I brought the completed square. Betty's eyes lit up. "Oh Helen, this is beautiful. Look at the detail. This will be perfect in the quilt." Other women showed their work too. Dorothy's book, Margaret's flowers, Rosa's cross. Pieces containing each person's story. When we finish, we'll hang it in the lobby. So everyone can see our community. 2 weeks later, George showed me the garden. It was divided into small sections, each with the owner's name tag. "This one's empty. Used to be Mrs. Patterson's, but she moved to nursing care last month. It's yours if you want it." I touched the soil. It was soft and fertile. "Yes, I'd like that." "Great. I'll get you some tomato seedlings. Also, there's tools in the shed. Help yourself." From that day on, I went to the garden every morning. I dug earth, planted seedlings, watered them. Bending my back was still hard, but taking it slow was okay. George would stop by occasionally with advice. "You want to pinch off those suckers. Helps the plant focus energy on the fruit." "Thanks, George." "No problem. That's what neighbors do." After a month, small green tomatoes began growing. I checked every day and watched them grow. Things I grew, things I made with my own hands. I was proud. One afternoon, passing through the lobby, I saw the bulletin board. Several notices were posted. Book club, every other Tuesday, 2 p.m. Bible study, Wednesdays, 10 a.m. Movie night, first Friday of the month. Volunteers needed, community kitchen help. The last notice caught my eye. Volunteering. What I'd done for 40 years. I went to Linda's office. "Linda, I'd like to volunteer in the community kitchen." "Really? That would be wonderful, Helen. We organize meals for residents who have trouble cooking. Just simple things: soup, sandwiches. Whatever you can manage. When can I start?" "How about next Monday? We usually cook from 11 to 1. Monday came. 3 others were in the community kitchen. Together we chopped vegetables, boiled soup, made sandwiches. While working we talked, and laughter was constant. At lunchtime, we delivered the finished food to residents living alone. 95-year-old Mr. Johnson, Mrs. Lee who had lost her sight, Mr. Davis who'd recently had surgery. Everyone was grateful. "Thank you, Helen. This smells wonderful." "You're welcome." It felt good to be needed again. Not just someone being cared for, but someone giving care. I had purpose. One evening, I sat alone on the sofa. The sun was setting outside the window. I looked back at the past few months. Surgery, pain, loneliness at my daughter's house, conflict with my children. Hard times. But now it was different. I had my own home, friends, purpose. I had a reason to get up every morning. The phone rang. I looked at the number. It was Sarah. The first time in months. I hesitated, then answered. "Hello? Hi, Mom." Her voice was careful. "It's Sarah. I know. How are you?" A long silence passed. "Mom, I've been thinking a lot. About what happened, what I said, and I'm sorry." My heart pounded. "Go on. Michael and we were wrong. We shouldn't have. Your money is yours. Your life is yours. We had no right to tell you what to do with it." Tears came. "Thank you, Sarah. Can I Can I come visit? See your new place? Really? If you'll let me. I want to see where you're living. I want to be part of your life again. You're always welcome. How about this weekend? Good. How about Saturday lunch? Perfect. I'll be there at noon. I hung up and sat for a long time. Forgiveness. Not easy, but necessary. Sarah was my daughter, and I still loved her. Saturday, exactly at noon, the doorbell rang. It was Sarah, and behind her were Emma and Tyler. Grandma. The kids ran and hugged me. This time carefully, remembering I was still recovering. Sarah held a bouquet of flowers. For your new home. Thank you. Come in. They looked around the apartment. Small but mine. My photos, my furniture, my space. Mom, this is really nice, Sarah said. Her voice was sincere. Isn't it? I'm happy. I can see that. You look different, lighter. We made lunch together. Simple sandwiches and salad. Sitting at the table eating, we talked. The kids talked about school, Sarah talked about work. I talked about my new friends and the garden. You're gardening again? That's wonderful, Mom. Yes. George is helping me. I'll harvest my first tomato this week. After eating, I showed them the building. Community room, garden, library. I introduced Margaret and George. So these are your new friends, Sarah said with a smile. My new family. Before leaving, Sarah hugged me. I'm proud of you, Mom. You did this yourself. You found your own way. Thank you, daughter. Can we come back? Maybe once a month? Anytime. After they left, I stood by the window and watched the car disappear. Reconciliation. Not complete, but a beginning. That night, I spoke to Robert's photo. We did it, honey. It was rough, but we did it. We found a home, found family again. And I found myself. I lay in bed, comfortable and peaceful. Tomorrow is Sunday and I'll go to church. Monday I'll volunteer in the community kitchen, Thursday is quilting club. I'll check the garden tomatoes, drink coffee with friends, call the grandkids. There was life. Real life. A life I chose, I made, living my way. Closing my eyes, I smiled. 72 years old. A new beginning. And this was just the start. More days ahead, more memories, more life waiting. Good night, I whispered to the room, the building, the community, and to myself. Good night, and thank you. Outside the window, stars were twinkling. And I, finally, was home.